On the 56th episode of The Local Okie, I am live with Chris Benson of Payet Networks, and we're going to talk about the different features of their credit card processing and also how they can save you money. But before we get into that, if we haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Jimmy Jenkins. I'm the host of The Local Okie, which allows me to go out and meet cool people like Chris. And then also, I own J&J Medicare Solutions, an agency that helps boomers and seniors to understand their options with Medicare. So Chris, thank you so much for being on The Local Okie today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So if you would, just tell us a little bit about what you do at Payet Networks.
Great, appreciate it. And so we've got, 10 or 12 hours? Or no. So let me just start out by saying Payet Networks is one of only 20 processors worldwide, true processors.
Okay.
There are probably in the neighborhood of 30,000 people who claim to be a processor, but they aren't. They're not a true front-end gateway and a back-end processor. Most people would think of Payet Networks as First Data, which is one of the world's largest, and FIS or Fiserv, the other two of the largest, and we're roaming right in that number 4, number 5 in size. However, what separates us from the rest, we are a privately held company, so we move very, very quickly. We help our merchants. With us, it's more about a partnership with our merchant than just being their processor.
Sure.
So that separates us immediately from everyone else. And one of the biggest aspects of that is the fact that we can move faster. So when our merchant says, I want something this way, I can have that done in our lab, in our IT department, where one of the other larger processors, number one, is going to charge an arm and a leg. Number two, could take 3 months to 3 years to build that process out.
So when you say process, like businesses can come to you and say, hey, we would like to customize this or change this up?
Okay. And a lot of that has to do with some of the smaller merchants that get a box from these processors, and they say, here's what your statement will look like, here's what your website will look like, and we ask you, what does that need to look like, and what can we do for you? So for myself, I've been in the industry for 28 years, starting long time, starting on the street, and one of the reasons why I came to work with Payet Networks, I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development, is that the owner, Trent Voigt, is one of the most ambitious visionaries in this industry, and it literally could take us 3 or 4 of these just to list his accolades in creating some of the processes that even the bigger processes have.
And so Trent is who started Payet Networks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And Trent originally started a company here in Dallas called JetPay.
JetPay, okay.
Yeah, and JetPay was about 20 years ago. And in building JetPay, he became the number 4 processor and sold. About 2 weeks of fishing, decided, I don't like retirement, I'm going to do it again.
Right.
So he did it again. The second time he sold it to a very large independent sales organization that worked for us. Again, a couple of months, and said, I don't like this either. I'm going to go ahead and do it a third time. And he took the JetPay public. And once it went public, he realized why he was a privately held company.
Didn't like all that.
Didn't like having to have a box handed to him. As the CEO and president and the largest stockholder, he still had issues getting projects done. So he went ahead and took it public and then sold his shares back. Last year, JetPay sold, 2 years ago now, sold to NCR, one of the world's largest POS system manufacturer. And during that period of non-compete, he built Payet Networks here in the U.S. We also have a division in the UK. That's been under his wing for 20 years. And doing fantastic. But here in the U.S., under Payet Networks, we have the flexibility to partner with our people. I have one boss. Trent. And our chief technology officer, one boss. Trent. And so as a merchant, anybody that may be listening to this, if you have an issue with your current processor, typically it's because they hand you a box.
Yep. So right now, Payet Networks is growing in the U.S. Is that correct?
Rapidly.
Okay. And so, right now, there's millions, thousands, whatever, businesses all around using different payment processors.
Yes.
So what are some of the key differences, or what are some of the key advantages that you have versus, and I don't even know, what are some of the names of the big processors?
So First Data, Fiserv, Elevon, Vantif, Global Payments, WorldPay.
Okay.
But most of those, in this last year, the top 10 became the top 6 because the others bought them up.
Okay.
So most of the companies that we compete against are being sucked up and bought up by other companies, which means slower help, slower processes, while they decide who's going to be the boss of their business.
Okay.
And we step in with at that point, and we're able to say we're cloud-based. So
are the others cloud-based?
One.
One other.
Okay.
So
and
you one other.
They're brand new to it.
Okay.
We've been doing this from creation.
Okay.
So a typical field might take 100 employees to man cold rooms and IT and all of those types. For us, it's 10.
Okay.
So I can dedicate 90 more to customer service, operations, and moving forward, which lowers our prices. So
and what's the advantage of being cloud-based?
Security is the first.
Okay.
Second is speed.
Okay.
We're not dependent on all the other issues that a server farm would have. We don't have those. And Trent has built military-grade encryption, tokenization. Let me a real quick point. Most people are familiar with the breach.
Right.
Target had. The breach that Home Depot had. In 28 years that Trent has been processing, in the 20 years from JetPay till today, he has had a total of 6 minutes of downtime and never had a breach.
That's awesome.
And nobody can say that even in a year's time.
Right.
We've got 20 to prove that we can do that. So it's security.
And that's huge because there's just a huge breach here this week, I think.
Citi.
Yeah.
Citibank.
100 million people affected, so.
And they actually got everything they need this time.
Right, okay.
So they got Social Security, they got their date of birth, and they got the credit card information.
Right.
That's all they need.
Right.
They don't have to scramble for stuff. They couldn't get ours. We have a product called tokenization.
Okay.
And then we're rolling out our new blockchain technology as well. So it still won't ever happen.
Right.
And people say, don't say never.
Right.
Well, 20 years is a long time. And our technology's gotten better, so never is a word I like to use.
So you're a smaller company, you're cloud-based, you're one of two cloud-based. What are some other benefits
So
or advantages?
the benefits to that is pricing.
Pricing, okay.
So if you're, speaking to probably half of the people that are small business owners, they're being clipped 15 to 50 cents a transaction.
Okay.
We all start at the same place. So First Data and I get the same rates from Visa. But what I mark up is based on what profit margin we've always had. What they're marking up is their interchange rates plus. So that by the time it gets to the merchant's 25-30% too high.
So what you're saying is you could probably save a merchant 25 to 30%.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Okay.
Even the larger companies that we have one that we just won. It's $4 billion a year, and all it took me 3 months going through the whole contract and everything else. The first thing I heard was, Chris, you can't beat our rates.
Right.
We're with Fiserv, and the rates. Give me a couple months worth of statements, and I'll give you a contract that shows I can beat your rates. And we did. And theirs wasn't 30; it was 28. But considering the total of $48 billion worth of processing, it's a lot of money.
I mean, 25 to 30% for any business is huge, especially on credit card processing.
Absolutely, because you're talking on average, they're being hit from 2% retail to as high as 4% retail if they're online.
Okay.
And so if you can take and put 30% of that back to the bottom line, you might actually hire new employees. You might actually invent new things, and your business is going to grow. And I mentioned this at the beginning. Partnerships.
Right.
We're in partnerships with these folks. That's what we do. So if we can save them money, they're going to be in business longer. They're going to hire more people. They're going to be able to increase. So it's kind of a dual thing for us.
Sure.
It may be a little bit prideful to some, but we like to say we're in business to help others stay in business.
Right. Yeah, like I said, 25 to 30% is huge, and like you said, it can mean people spending more to expand their business, adding new employees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So if someone wanted to take a look at Pay Networks and compare the costs and the differences, what's the process that they would go through to
They
do
can
that?
go to sales at
Okay.
paynetworks.com
Okay.
and simply request information about pricing, and somebody will reach out to them. Ultimately, it'll end up coming to me.
Okay.
If it's a larger corporation, it will most definitely come to me direct. But I sign off on all of the contracts to make sure that we have agents all over the country. We want to make sure that they're doing the right thing as well.
Right.
So I monitor that along with my crew.
Okay. And so at a minimum, what do they need to gather in order to
2 months of
2 months?
of
Okay.
recent credit card statements.
Okay.
So not back to December, but
Right.
here we are in August, so we would need in July they wouldn't have for a couple more weeks. So go back to June,
Okay.
May,
All right.
April.
And then besides the benefits we already talked about, are there any others that you'd like to add?
Well, I think we are probably the premier card not present online
Okay.
processor, and we actually created the discount for cash, or the cash discount program.
Okay.
That
And what is that?
Basically, it means that the merchant stops paying those fees and passes the fees to the consumer.
Okay.
So if you come into my restaurant and I have cash discount program, you're going to pay your $100 for dinner, because I do ribeyes and prime rib. So
Right.
yeah, you're going to pay your $100, and with our program, you're actually going to pay $103.50.
Okay.
And that $3.50 we pay off the credit card costs, our cost to process credit, and then we have rebates programs back to the owners, the merchants, but they're eliminating that entire cost. So
Okay.
as a small business, if you're paying $2,000 a month in credit cards for a flat rate of $59, you can save the other $2,000.
That's huge.
Huge. And everyone who said, Chris, I don't know that that's going to work, moving the cost to the consumer. Let's take a look at your statements, and I'm going to show you that 90% of your statements are rewards, flight miles, and points back. So that means that you're paying for those.
Right.
Your consumer will know that. That's why they do it. That's why I use my Amex and get my flight miles.
Right.
Right? Until we developed the program, now I pay cash. But the point is that the merchant shouldn't have to pay for people's rewards and points. And when it's explained that way or just shared, look, I want to stay in business. I can't afford the cost of credit cards because they keep going up. And this was an option. My other option was to raise all my prices 10%. Now, that's not fair to the cash payer.
Right.
So we've given you the option. You have two options: pay with cash or pay with credit, but the option's yours. And this has been going on for 20 years. It's just every gas station in the world used to do that.
Right.
Credit price, cash price.
Right. Okay.
We've just brought it into the consumer, both or to the retailers, online and storefront.
Okay.
So,
And then one final question is: are there contracts? Do you have to sign 2-3 year contracts? Or
the associations, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, they require a 36-month contract.
Okay.
Now, everybody else will, with that contract, is going to have typically a $495 early termination.
Okay.
Meaning you can go 35 months and terminate, and they're going to charge you $495. What we do is we zero that out.
Okay.
So the early termination is zero, and it says to stop, you have to file a 30-day email stating I want to stop my services. Well, if it costs you nothing to leave,
Right.
there's no way to sue you for something that costs nothing, so you have actually a zero-out contract.
That's awesome.
So it makes it very simple. Come try us.
Right. Yeah.
And if we do well for you and you like what we're doing, then fine. If you don't, why would I kick you on the way out?
Right.
And again, all the others do this. That every one of them will do that, and
Right.
we just don't want to be part of that. Again,
Okay.
you're my partner. I'm not going to kick you on the way out.
So, for my understanding, how would it work for someone? They have a contract. They're 2 years into their contract. They have 1 year left. They get a proposal from you. You're going to be able to save them a ton of money. What would you say to that person? Because I think a lot of people would be scared of the early termination, or they're automatically going to reject taking a look at you because of the early termination.
And that happens a lot. So there's a couple of things that they can do that's legal. Number one, if I'm showing you a $2,000 savings, the most you can be charged is $495.
Okay.
So that first month, I've only saved you $1,500 rather than $2,000 because you've gotten your $495. There are a lot of contracts that have some pretty deep clauses that
Okay.
I'm so used to reading and seeing. If that comes up, then I'll typically ask for a contract. Let me take a look at that, and I'll find you a way out.
Okay.
Second, I buy it. I just flat out buy your early termination
Okay.
to bring you on board. And say, okay, I'll pay the $495.
Okay.
The second thing is every contract has a monthly minimum fee.
Right.
Meaning that if you don't process during the month of July, you're going to get charged $45.
Okay.
Okay. So the other alternative is unplug, put under the counter, pay your $45 a month. It doesn't say you have to use it. It just says you're in a contract for 3 years. This is what it's going to cost you, $45 a month minimum. Ours is $59 typically.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing the discount for cash program, again, you've already paid that over and over and over.
Okay.
So there are several options, and we like to be creative, but we're always going to be legal about
Sure,
doing
absolutely.
that. We have to, and it's just something that we live by.
So really, there's no reason why someone shouldn't at least get a proposal and see how
Absolutely.
you can save money. So,
They're going to benefit. There's no
Right.
no loss. We don't charge for
okay.
for doing the proposals. So
Okay.
what can it hurt? The least, at the very least, and I've had this happen, and I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother our company. I've had them use my proposals to get a better rate from their current
Gotcha.
provider. And you know what? If we're helping them out and that happens,
Yeah.
not
So-
my first choice. But again,
Right.
they're going to remember I
Right.
helped them to do that. So
Right.
if things don't straighten out for them, they're going to come back to me.
Understand. So to wrap it up, so you're a smaller company, so that means you can be more flexible. You can do some you can customize some
Customize
things
a
that
lot, yep.
most of the bigger companies aren't going to do because they're going to put them in a box. You're cloud-based, so there's more security there. You can save people 25 to 30%, which everyone wants money back in their pocket.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And if they do the discount for cash, it's 100%. Pretty much.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, the proposal, you're going to help them with all of that stuff. So.
Yes.
Well,
Make
I
it
can't.
easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I can't see a reason why someone wouldn't at least, take a look at Pay Network. So, well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the Local Okie. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.